Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Dr. Ruehl Show. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl, and today some intriguing and disturbing facts about everyday foods, warnings that you may not want to hear, but you should know about. They're presented by the Truther Girls, Sonia and Karen. As a ufologist, you know that I complain that the government conspires to hide facts about UFO encounters. Well, the girls claim the government's conspiring to hide facts about everyday foods, primarily from a profit motivation. Now, video footage has been compiled by noted videographer Benny Gooseland. Without further ado, roll tape.
I would have liked to get one of these melons, but the PLU code it starts with a 3. It's 4 digits. It starts with 3. And that means it's irradiated.
Oh, yeah.
It's gross. I know. A lot of the tropical fruit is irradiated. Irradiated fruit will kill you. Oh, this is what I need. I need to get some sausages.
But sausages are full of nitrates.
No. These are not full of nitrates. These are from Ferme Vallant, and they're nitrate free, so they're okay.
Nitrates will kill you.
Okay, see this pasta? This is from Italy. Italy, they don't have GMOs, so that way I know that this pasta won't kill me.
Lily white corn syrup. Now this is full of mercury and will actually kill you.
Flu shot. If the information that I've given you up until now hasn't been enough to convince you, hopefully this will. This is from the Montreal Gazette, May 21st. Maverick U.S. scientist creates first synthetic genome. Craig Venter, an apparent mad scientist, has created an artificial, self-replicating bacteria whose parent was a computer. This is known to nuts like me as gray goo, Frankenbacteria. Here are some potential uses for gray goo. Capture carbon dioxide. You don't want plants breathing too much of that and making too much oxygen. Create hydrocarbons. Clean up water supplies. See, kids, gray goo is good for the environment. Also, create food substances. Not food, but food substances. In other words, Soylent Green. Well, most of what we eat is food substances anyway, so why not? The UK Telegraph, flu jab linked to fits in under 5s, officials. It says here, British GPs are being told not to give kids under 5 a flu vaccine called Inzira because the equivalent flu vax in Australia was shown to cause febrile convulsions in as many as 1 in 100 kids who received it. Of course, that doesn't mean that they're not going to vaccinate the kids. They're just not going to give them this particular vaccine. Funny thing is, this article says that kids under 5 are routinely vaccinated for the flu if they're in designated risk groups, such as having chronic asthma or having been admitted to hospital with a respiratory infection previously, or having other long-term conditions, which means they would be particularly badly affected if they caught the flu. Now, this is a bit weird because if you go to Immunization Service, Oklahoma State Department of Health, information for parents about the 2009 H1N1 influenza nasal spray vaccine. Question, is the live virus H1N1 flu vaccine safe? Of course they say yes, it's safe. But they do say that studies found a slight increased risk for wheezing in children less than 2 years of age and for hospitalization of children with asthma who received the vaccine. So it's not licensed for kids under 2 or for children under 5 who've had... I had recently learned that canola oil was not only genetically modified but carried a lot of other health risks. And so I was pretty horrified when I went to the supermarket and I found that all these so-called health foods like hummus and all these things, that they all contain canola oil. So I made a video about Karen and I going to the supermarket, and some people left comments about canola oil, that it's not a pesticide, it's not rapeseed oil, etc., and I was totally wrong about it. So I wanted to make a video follow-up to canola oil and why canola oil will kill you. This is the website of the Canola Council of Canada. Now, what do you expect from the Canola Council of Canada? You think they're going to tell you the truth when they got a product to sell? Okay, they have a fact sheet on here. First of all, what is canola oil? They say canola is not rapeseed. Actually, canola is a hybridized form of rapeseed that contains low erucic acid, but it still comes from the rape plant. Rape is not such an appealing word for a food, and they tried to change it when they hybridized it, and they called it low erucic acid rape, which was an acronym that spelled Lear. So Lear was not any more appealing than rape. So they ended up making up a name for it. They called it canola, which is Canadian oil low acid. Yes, there is a canola plant now because they renamed the hybridized rape plant. Okay, today I'm going to make like a vegetarian wrap, and I'm going to use eggplant again. You should use a lot of eggplant because eggplant has the ability to absorb all kinds of toxins, even pharmaceuticals, like suck those pharmaceuticals out of your body. So the New World Order can put pharmaceuticals in your tap water, and then the eggplant just sucks them right out again. So you're going to start by putting, as always, a little bit of olive oil in there, and don't heat it up too high or it'll damage the oil and make it hazardous to your health. And then you can add some onion powder. And some chili powder. Hopefully that's going to make it taste like I'm eating a burrito. And you add a sliced up onion. And a clove of garlic. Stir it up a bit. Now I've got about half of a small eggplant chopped up. I'll throw that in there. And mix it up well. And I'm going to put in half of one of these mushrooms. I think I'll cut it up a little bit more first. Okay, it's a portini mushroom. Like a kind of portobello mushroom, but you could pretty much use whatever you want. And I'm going to put in like half a zucchini too. I'm going to put in just a little bit of water. Help it cook. It's going to evaporate. Damn, I just realized that on the tomato paste it says spices. And spices is a euphemism for MSG, basically, which is an excitotoxin that's not good for you and can make you get fat too. So I guess you have to be really careful with things like anything that's in a can, anything that's pre-made, and bouillon cubes. You have to, read the label, make sure it doesn't say spices or MSG. And with the bouillon cube, you pretty much have to get an organic one. Otherwise, because I use bouillon cubes so much, as you can see, I'm using a lot of the same ingredients, just in different ways. And if you're doing something like using a bouillon cube in every dinner, then you're actually, eating MSG every day. So you've got to watch out for things like that, especially. Okay, now I'm going to make them into burritos, so I'm going to heat up some butter there. I just put some of that filling on a couple of whole wheat organic tortillas, and I put some, roll them up, and then you fry them a bit to melt the cheese, and flip them, and that's pretty much it.
Welcome back, and as I said, most intriguing and very disturbing. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The girls at their YouTube channel have many more warnings you may want to check out. Now, time for the trivia question of the day. Let me extricate here from its paper prison. The question, most appropriately, what is the term for the fear of food? Multiple choice, inverse, alphabetical order. Is that trichophobia, cytophobia, nephophobia, or dorophobia? Now the only prize for the correct answer, one pat on the back you'll have to administer to yourself. Heck of a lot better than a slap on the belly with a wet trout. Now we have some maggots. Ew, maggots. Do you see them? This pertains to the case of an American engineer who recently returned from Costa Rica, and he noticed that he had various indentations on his skin, on his hands and arms. What happened? he had maggot infestation of the skin he picked up, and they did not know how to treat it. But then someone at the hospital had heard about a folk remedy where you apply raw bacon to the skin, and that draws out the maggots. And that's exactly what they did. They applied the raw bacon, and the maggots began burrowing out of the skin into the bacon, and in 2 days he was healed. Now, God forbid if you ever have maggot infestation of your skin. But if you do, remember to apply raw bacon. Yes. Now here is a brontosaurus, otherwise known as the apatosaurus. Please note that he had very weak teeth. So when he, as a vegetarian, would eat leaves from trees, he was not able to really chew them up too well. And they went down only partially digested into his tummy. But in his tummy, he had what we call stomach stones or gastroliths. Yes, he had swallowed stones, and the stones rolling around in his tummy ground up the vegetation he ingested so he could survive and grow to be a large dinosaur like this. Yes. How about that? And there were other dinosaurs who also had gastroliths. How about that? Now, here is some butter. Do you know that when you unwrap the butter, you usually have some residual butter left on the wrapper, and it's wasteful to throw it out. So the Ruehl solution is to take those wrappers and place them in a plastic bag. Then when you have a recipe calling for a greased pan or bowl, you extract one of these wrappers that has butter left on it, and you rub it around the bowl or baking dish and save yourself a few pennies. Not going to make you rich, but it helps you defeat the system to a slight extent. Yes, from Dr. Franklin Ruehl, a consumer tip. Now for that trivia question again, what do we call the fear of food? Is it trichophobia, cytophobia, nephophobia, or dorophobia? And you say dorophobia. No, it's cytophobia. For the record, trichophobia, fear of hair, nephophobia, fear of clouds, and dorophobia, fear of fur. And of course we know some people actually do ingest hair. Just had a recent case of a girl who had a 2-pound hairball in her chest because she kept nibbling on her hair and had to be surgically extracted. Let's see if we have time for one entry here from the Vault of Strange Deaths from the realm of food and drink. It says, don't pay attention to your boss. This pertains to a winery worker up in Lodi, California. His boss ordered him to check the fluid levels in a huge wine vat. But when he opened the hatch, he tripped and fell in and drowned in wine. Oh! Now, I don't know if we have any winery workers out there, but if we do and your boss tells you to check the wine levels, tell him, do it yourself, buddy. And if he gives you any flack whatsoever, report him to me, and I'll put him in his place, yes. Now, until next time, may the power of the cosmos be with you, yes!